And we have one presentation from Mr. Harry Dhaul. He is a well-known person, and he is the Director General of IPPAI, Indian Power Producer Association of India. And I will request Mr. Dhaul to please come and make the presentation.
Good afternoon, and a warm welcome to all our friends from outside India. It's so nice to see people from across the Gulf, right up to the east, south, and whatever. And I think there will be tremendous contribution in this session, and I think it's interesting that we are sitting today in 2019 talking about this. I want to share with you that IPPAI was given an assignment in 2012-2013, and the assignment was to look into the future. What is it that you see in the energy space in the next 20, 30 years? And that assignment was given to us by the Ministry of Power, and particularly the minister concerned said, I really want a futuristic presentation. Where should this region be going? And two things are very clear to me when I got the assignment. One, that India is geographically located strategically in a very interesting place. In fact, on the lighter side, I always tell my American friends, you were looking for India, you got stuck with Red Indians, it's about time you moved on. So we've been in a geographically interesting position for a long time. And therefore, in looking at something which is going to be exciting for the future, provoked us to look at ways and means of how we can go forward. The year was 2013, and so we came up with this. The first thing we came up with was, what does the consumer want? You know, we all get very excited about generation, and we get excited about transmission, we get excited about settlement, we get excited about all kinds of things, but we forget what the consumer wants. So I asked around, and I came to a simple conclusion. The consumer wants a plug-and-play grid. Simple. Just like the internet. I pay for the amount of data that I use, and when I don't want to use it, I switch off. That's it. Now this, at that time, we visualized 2 ring roads of transmission lines of 100 gigawatts each. We also then expanded it to this picture. This is available in a publication of 2013, and to those of you who would like it, please send us a mail, we'll be happy to send it to you. And the concept was from Tajikistan to Singapore. And the brilliant thing about this crazy concept at that time, they all said this is totally crazy, was that we realized that the importance of the Gulf countries, which would also be able to contribute and participate in one of the largest emerging markets. Please understand that almost out of the 7 billion people on the planet, around 2.5 to maybe almost 3 billion or 2 billion will be, is this market, not counting China. And if you count China, then you're looking north of 4 billion. So this is a huge market. And the markets in the current context need energy. And without electricity, you're not going to fly. So you need to have an exciting, robust market of energy. Now, to those of you who don't know this, India has been exporting power since 1971. I'll repeat that, 1971. And we've been doing that through Bihar to Nepal. And what we've been doing in those days is, it's very interesting. The federal structure of this country, and I heard the earlier speaker talk about dictating terms and whatever, but the agreement is so beautiful. It is entered into between the state, the local state, and the Nepal government. And it has been running since 1971. And it's not just one line, I think there are about 20 different lines. And then there are, of course, the other linkage points between India and Nepal. There is no settlement hassle. There is no major dispute or arbitration or anything like that. power is flowing, money is coming, and everyone's living hanky-dory. So I thought that was a starting point to see how we could expand it. Then, of course, we have Bhutan, which is exporting power to India. And now, of course, we are selling power to Bangladesh. We also had interactions through the SAARC platform with Pakistan. And we also examined the possibilities of supplying power through the various options on transmission, HVDC, radial mode, etc., etc. And we also had interactions right up to Tajikistan, in Dushanbe, as well as in Afghanistan. And we also interacted with the agencies in the Gulf at that time. Very interestingly, we found that there was linkages between, a very small linkage between India and Myanmar. And from Myanmar to Thailand and Myanmar to the countries beyond, there are small linkages of transmission lines. On a recent visit to Cambodia, we figured out that their shortages are being met from Vietnam. So it made a lot of sense to see that Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, they're all interlinked. And then our idea or concept of taking it right down to Singapore was an exciting idea. Now comes the fun part. Who will be the regulator? Who will regulate this? Now, one of the problems we found was that a lot of these grids are not synchronized. So there's this whole theory about putting a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, of putting HVDC links, etc., etc. Extremely expensive. And how will deviation settlements be done? Now, this is a big problem within India. We have found a solution to it. But believe me, as a practitioner of somebody who's been in the power sector since 1986 and having the reputation or disreputation of being the world's first trader by default, because I started power trading in 86, deviation settlement is a very tricky business. And so no matter what you look at, there is always a point in a space which is gray. How do we ensure payment security? You sold power, somebody created a dispute, what is the arbitration, what is the currency in which you will be buying the power, what kind of bank guarantees will be in place, etc., etc. So there's a whole bunch of issues that came around there. All right, so there is a dispute, big deal. Now how do we, there's always disputes, but how do you resolve disputes? Very important to find solutions to resolve a dispute, because dispute resolution is extremely important. So how would you do that? And then, of course, grid integration and then issues in grid security. One of the apprehensions, I won't mention the era of the time, was if we give power to country X or if we buy power to country Y, what happens if there's a grid failure, etc., etc. So basically, India was visualized to be a facilitator, a hub for all the countries that want to participate. So theoretically, Oman or Iran could sell power to Thailand or Cambodia or whoever is willing to pay. And as you rightly said in his presentation, the concept would be to let market forces decide. That's how I buy my plane ticket. That's how I decide to stay in a hotel. I go to make my trip and I figure out what is the cheapest and best option that I want, and that's how I go and buy a house. I go and do everything on that market principle. So let it be transparent and let it be simple. Now, the CRC, our central regulator, has been given this task of deciding on how these transactions should take place. I don't want to take time on this because it's too India-centric for this discussion. So I think that's something which will be, it's an evolving process. But all I want to say is that there are regulations, there are transactions happening, there are all kinds of exciting things going on, and I see this as a tremendous opportunity to think of new markets, new connectivities, and new empowerment. Currently, for whoever wants to look at this and take pictures, if you like, is India's importing about 1,200 megawatts of power from Bhutan, exports 1,200 to Bangladesh, 450 to Nepal, and 3 megawatts to Myanmar. Excellent. We're always short on time. That's the unfortunate part. Okay, so there's a lot of grid connectivity, and the upcoming the lines coming from the Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan to Pakistan, then Iran and Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, Malaysia, Malaysia, Singapore. And then, of course, while I leave you with the thought of thinking of the future, please look upon this as a great opportunity. Thank you.